demonstrator, Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the United States. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked tonight's video, be sure to give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and I'd love to hear what you think about my projects for tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and see who's on before we get started. Okay, let's see if we can get the chat open. Oh, hello, Laura. Thanks so much for joining. It's lovely to see you here today. So, you guys, we are down to the very last few days of the buy one, get one half off BOGO sale that Stampin' Up has on sweet collections and or the sweet products within those sweets. So you purchase one and you pay for the most expensive item, and then when you put a second one in your cart, then you get half off the lowest priced item. So I suggest when you're ordering, if you're ordering collections, just put 2 collections in your cart and check out. If you're purchasing bundles, put the 2 bundles in your cart and check out. And then as far as embellishments and designer series paper, then you can do that on a separate order. And it won't hurt you by doing the sweet collections or the bundles separately in shipping wise, because you're still going to pay the 11%. Okay. All right, so that is that. Let's go ahead, and it's 7:02. So let's go ahead and get started. So a little background about the box we're about to make. I'm going to show you where my inspiration came from. This box was one that was designed by Stampin' Up and presented during a Creativity Now demonstrator only virtual event last weekend. And it has kind of a unique opening from boxes that I've previously made. And so I was inspired by this box to make a box. But this box is 4 inches by 2 inches by 1 inches, and it doesn't fit a gift card. So I decided to resize my box for tonight's video so that it will fit a gift card. And these are this is a sneak peek of product coming up in the September to December mini catalog. Demonstrators were able to pre-order that for the Creativity Now event when they registered. So we're going to be using the Poppin By bundle, which we have been using all week. If you haven't seen those videos, be sure to pop back on my YouTube channel and see those. Okay, so this doesn't need a lot of supplies. So in addition to Poppin By, I think we're going to be using turtle textures, embossing folder. This is part of a suite. We are going to be using the Darling Dinos for the little bow tie here. And we'll be stamping, we have the stamp and the die that we need from that bundle. This one comes with coordinating dies. Okay, not part of a suite. And then I'm going back to my Around It All dies. I really like these. These are on the last chance list. They started at $34 and they're $23.80 at the moment while supplies last. Okay. And then finally, for embellishments, we're using the iridescent faceted gems. So we'll put those up there. I'm going to set this aside, and let's go ahead and grab our pieces. So we have a basic black cardstock piece for our box base. And this piece is cut at 4 1/4 by 10. And we are going to score this on the 10-inch side. Oops, I about lost my designer series papers. On the 10-inch side at 2.5. Oh, let's see. I think somebody else has popped in here. Hi, Tracy. So we're gonna this is 4 1/4 by 10. We're gonna score it at 2.5, 3.5, 7, and 8. And then we're going to rotate it to the 4 1/4 inch side. And I'm going to score it at 1 inch, rotate it 180 degrees, and score it again at 1 inch. Now, if you don't want to rotate, you could score that at 1 inch and at 3 1/4. But what it does when you do 1 inch and 1 inch is that if your paper is just a little tiny bit off of the 4 1/4 mark, your box sides are going to remain consistent because you're going 1 inch from each side. So you won't have a hair higher on one side than you do on the other. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and fold and burnish on all of the score lines. I'll get that done. Okay, this is really a pretty simple box to put together. So we're going to cut up, we've got longer rectangles, and then we've got 2 squares on either side. These are going to be our glue tabs. So we're going to cut straight up on the long rectangle side, angle cut on the square, and we're going to do that on both sides. So straight up on the rectangle, angle on the square. Up, angle, up, angle, up, angle, up, angle. I like to cut my straight line first and then angle second. You could do it in whatever order you like. This is just my preference. Okay, now to help our box fold in a little better, we're going to take these 4 little tabs, move the bigger rectangles out of the way, and I'm going to trim these out. Now, you could put this in your trimmer and trim these down to a 1/2 inch, or you can just eyeball it because it really doesn't matter what they look like. Nobody's really going to see them. This is just going to help our lid fold in a little nicer. Okay? Because it won't get caught on those tabs. Okay, so let's go ahead and add some designer series paper before we get any further. This longer section here is going to be the section that we open our box with. Okay? So, before we do that, we need to put our tab on. And we're going to grab a small piece of basic black and the Keeping Tabs punch. And I'm just going to pop that out. And I'm going to fold this over. Okay. And then we're going to take some tear and tape. This tab is going to take some use, so I'm going to put 2 rows here on each tab just to really hold that securely. I'm staying down below the curvature on that tab. Get out my ruler. It just tears better for me when I do that. Okay. And burnish that down so that sticks well. And then we'll remove the wax paper back in here. Okay, then I'm going to take this longer end here. Okay, you've got the shorter end and you have the longer end. And with the inside of my box facing upward, actually it doesn't matter how you do it, I'm just going to lay this down and line up those curvatures and try to center it right to left. And then I'm going to take and fold this down carefully, making sure that these edges line up. And I'm happy with that, so we can burnish that. Okay, now we can add our designer series paper. So I've taken Summer Splash from the 24 to 26 in color 6x6 paper stack, and I've taken the it's leaf pattern on one side and stripes on the other. This comes in an assortment of the 5 in colors for this year. And then the other pattern that you get is this speckled pattern and flowers on the back. So you get 5 each, I think, 4 each, 5 each of those designs. Okay, so got that. Now, this designer series paper, I want to run up and down. So I've cut this. This piece is 2 1/8, 2 1/8 by 2 3/8. I'm going to add that in. Of course, you're doing this on the outside of your box. So we're going to put our paper here. You can do this once you get your box assembled, because I have twice. It's just easier if it's all laying nice and flat. And then this piece is going to go over here. This is the tops of our box. Whoop. Glue bottle went underneath the paper. Okay, so this piece is 2 1/8 by 1 7/8. So 2 1/8 by 1 7/8. Okay. And then we've got 2 pieces for the front and back of our box. and 2 pieces for the sides of our box. And these are 7/8 of an inch by 2 1/8 of an inch, the same height as these. And these ones are 7/8 by 3 3/8. So we're going to add those to our box. You could make this with the designer series paper, but I like to have boxes that are just a little bit stronger. So I'm using cardstock and adding some DSP, some designer series paper. But if you have a bunch of designer series paper that you need to use up, this would be a good way to do it. Because it uses a 4 1/4 by 10-inch piece. Now, the one that Stampin' Up designed used 4 by 11 so that you could get 3 boxes out of a sheet of paper. And you put it together the same way. The scoring directions are a little bit different, not much. Instead of 2 1/2 and 3 1/2, you score at 3 inches and 4 inches. And then at 8 and 9 instead of 7 and 8. Okay, so we have all that on there. We're ready to go ahead and put this box together. So I'm going to grab my tear and tape again. And it is really important on this box that you get the tabs securely laid down completely. So I'm going to put a strip of tear and tape right along the score line on the tab. And then I'm going to lift my backings and then I'm going to add some liquid glue to the ends. Now you could do 2 lines of tear and tape, but for time's sake tonight, I'm going to do a mixture. So I'm just going to make sure I get some glue right here at the edge of my tab so that these pieces do not stick up at all. By doing this and by cutting them a little shorter, they should not grab the tuck tabs. Okay, so now we're going to take, these tabs are going to go toward each other, okay? So we're going to start and fold this down and put the cut side to the score line. I'm going to do that again over here. Okay, and then we're going to bring this round. Cut line to the score line. Tuck that tab in and cut line to the score line. Okay, we've got that. Now what that does by doing it with the liquid glue and the tear and tape grabs immediately, so you don't have to keep holding that. And then you can just go back with your bone folder and burnish that down really well. Okay, now here we are. We can fold our top side, the short top side in first, and then we'll fold the larger side in second. And now our box will hold itself closed. Okay? And we can put our gift card in here. Fits in there perfectly. And it will also hold 2 fun-sized candy bars. Okay? I'm going to fold in my short sides, pull in my long sides, and there you have the basic box. Now, of course, you could use this for any occasion, but we're focusing on the popcorn. So I would suggest for this particular box, I would put a movie theater gift card in there, but I didn't have one. So here's a look again at that template. And let's go ahead and start stamping. Okay. So for our stamping, we need some basic white. Okay. And we're going to take some, let me grab my Stamparatus here. Okay. I like to be able to double stamp my little character. So I'm going to use my Stamparatus. Put down my scrap of paper here. Let's get our Stamparatus. Let's close that up. And then we need Summer Splash. And we need to I like to stick a ink pad under there. We'll ink that up with our Summer Splash. Give that a good press. I'm going to ink it up again. Okay. Then we also need to stamp from the Darling Dinos. We need to stamp the bow tie or hair bow in this case. So I'm going to do that in basic black. And then we need the word enjoy. Okay. So what I did with the word enjoy, I'm stamping that down. I'm going to move this off of here because I don't need it anymore. Let me get my Summer Splash again. Stamp down my enjoy. Okay, then I will clean that. I didn't get my thing wet after last night's stamping session. Okay, then I'm going to take Versamark and ink that up. Okay, take that off. And I'm going to clean this so I don't get Versamark ink everywhere. Okay, and we can move this out of our way. Bring in our clear embossing powder. And yes, I should have used the embossing buddy, but I don't get too excited about it when it's clear because it's clear. And you're going to have to look extremely hard if you want to see any excess. In our case, we're going to cut this out pretty tight, so it wouldn't even matter. So we'll go ahead and take that. Now you can see that that is kind of dull looking. I'm warming up my heat tool. And now you can see that's nice and shiny. Okay. All right. So now we need our Summer Splash blends. Use some Stampin' blends here. And I'm going to go in on my bow tie and I'm going to color that in with the light. And then I'm going to go back with the dark. And there we are. Now our bow tie is ready. Okay, so in addition to these pieces, you also need to stamp a bucket in Daffodil Delight, which I've already done and die cut. And then in Basic Black, you need the glasses. That's here. Okay. And then we need white tennis shoes. So I've cut that from Basic White. And of course, I have two of them here. And then I've already pre-cut out that bow tie, and I put a little bit of Wink Castella on there. So let's go ahead now and cut out our little bucket guy. Or in this case, it's going to be a girl. I wanted to put a bow tie on this, but there just isn't enough room between the mouth and the feet to do that. The face on the bucket is just too low. Let's get that lined up as best we can. Seeing too much white right there. Okay. Then we'll take and put this on our plates. So we've got plate 1, plate 2, and another plate 2. And of course I would die cut that if I needed it, but I don't. So we're just going to run this through the machine. Okay. So now we have our pieces. So we've got our buckets and our glasses, our bow tie, our tinnies, and I fussy cut the word enjoy. I didn't want you to have to watch me do that, but that's what it looks like when it's all fussy cut. Okay, let's get these things out of the way and let's start decorating. Let's bring back in our box. Oh, and here's where we need to make a decision. I've taken the all around dies, or around it all dies, and I cut with the 4th from the center in basic black. And I actually did that twice because I wasn't sure if I wanted to use this one is embossed with the turtle design. So let's put that on here and see what it looks like. Oh, let's get our little guy put together first. So we need to take this guy and cut right on the scallops of that bucket. I'm barely leaving a white border because I need to get between the bucket scallops and the popcorn. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to take Mr. Yellow bucket here. We're going to slice that off because we don't need it all. I'm going to cut this little divot off here with my scissors because I don't want that either. And then I'm going to trim that in so I don't have to worry about that sticking out the side. Okay. Then I'm going to make sure I've got it done just right. And then I'll put some Stampin' Seal down. Add my bucket here. Like so. Okay. And then we're going to take our glasses and a wink of Stella. Tracy, this Poppin By bundle is so fun. And it doesn't matter if you're doing movie theater or anything. I mean, what goes with a movie at home? Some popcorn and a candy. So just pop it up, put a little treat in there, and let somebody have it. It's a cute presentation. So I'm going to put just a tiny bit of Tumbo liquid glue there. Okay. I'll press that in. I want to make sure I don't cover the mouth, and I have it pretty evenly spaced between the eyes. Okay, now we're going to take on this one, we're going to add his shoes. I've thought about, I should make it without the sneakers, but then I think, but the sneakers are so cute. Why do I want to leave those off? And so I don't. Well, this one's going to get white sneakers. I tried the black sneakers, but when you put them on the black background, they don't show. So I moved to white. But of course, you could make yours any color you wish. You don't have to do a summer splash bucket. You don't have to do the black glasses. Okay, now I got this brainstorm last night, and I thought, what if I took the bow tie or the hair thing from Darling Dinos and I put it on the bucket? Wouldn't that be cute? So I tried this, but it's just too low. It's very cute. Let me bring that up a little closer. But there just isn't a lot of room there. So I changed my mind and I went with I'm going to take a glue dot here and I'm just going to roll it up into a little ball. And then I'm going to flip over this little bow tie, put that little ball right in the center. And then we're going to stick this right up here and make her extra cute. Okay. Now, here is our decision-making time. Are we going to put some texture with the turtley cute? There's with the texture. Oh, and here is actually at flat. So, texture or flat? Texture's on the top, flat's on the bottom. What do you think? Oh, you can't see it. I'm too high. Hang on. Let me get it down here. There we go. There we go. Texture on the top, flat on the bottom. I like the texture on the wonky circle. Okay, let's do it that way then. Anybody else? That bow is extra cute. I don't know where that came from last night, but I just got the brainstorm and I thought, wow, we're going to do that. So this is a 3D item. I don't need to mail it. So I am going to use Stampin' Dimensionals to put my wonky circle down. All right, like so. Okay, and then we'll use more Stampin' Dimensionals on our bucket. And I want to make sure that the sneakers stay secure. So I'm going to snip on my mini dimensionals in the middle on 2 of them. Oh, I guess I didn't need to. I only need to do it on 1 because I just need 2 halves. And then I'm going to put the long skinny side at the bottom of the sneaker. That's going to do 2 things. That's going to pop that up and it's going to hold those sneakers on a little bit better. And then we're going to add this one down here and remove those backings. And then we're going to put our little popcorn bucket gal here, like that. And then we're going to take our little enjoy, and I'm not popping this one up. This is going to go on our pull tab label, so I didn't want to add any extra dimension and make it hard to get to that pull tab. So we're just going to set this right here on that pull tab, like so. And the last thing that we need to do here is put a couple of embellishments on. So let's take out our iridescent faceted gems. And let's put a small one here and another small one here. And then I'm going to take a large one and I'm going to put it right there. Okay, I like to take and push mine in a little bit with the tip of my take your pick tool. And that, my friends, is our finished. I'm calling it a double what did I call it? Oh, no, I can't remember. Double flap crossover box. Gift card box, because it fits the gift cards. Okay, so we've got that, and this, and there you have it. And thank you, Stampin' Up! Creativity Now, people, for inspiring me and giving me the dimensions so I could resize that box. All right, everybody. I'm glad you guys liked that Poppin' By bundle. I needed it right away, but I can see where it wouldn't be a thing that people would say, oh, I couldn't have much use for that. But man, it makes some cute things. Now, if you're in my K&T Designs Stampers Group social, tomorrow you'll see another card that I made with this bundle for your inspiration challenge. So be sure to check that out tomorrow. It is very cute. And it is exclusive to that group. So if you haven't done so, please sign up. We'd love to have you. The rules are simple. Share with us, use your Stampin' Up! Supplies, and don't promote any other demonstrators or companies. All right, thanks so much. Good night.